The sun beat down mercilessly as Dr. Maya Chen wiped sweat from her forehead. 3 weeks in this canyon, and all she had to show for it were sunburns and pages of boring erosion data. Not exactly the exciting research trip she'd promised her university. Maya took another swig from her water bottle and squinted at the drone's control screen. The small flying device buzzed overhead, capturing images of the canyon walls that stretched toward the sky like ancient guardians. This remote section of the Copper Canyon in Mexico was rarely visited by tourists or researchers, which made it perfect for her geological study. Just one more sweep, she muttered to herself, guiding the drone deeper into a narrow passage she hadn't explored yet. The walls here showed unusual patterns, smooth curves where there should be jagged edges, almost as if something massive had once pushed through the rock. The radio crackled. "Doc, you planning to come back anytime soon? Dinner's almost ready and Tom says there's a storm brewing." It was Raj, her graduate assistant who'd been complaining about the heat since they arrived. "Give me 15 more minutes," Maya replied. "I'm seeing something interesting in the Northwest Passage." As the drone rounded a bend in the canyon, Maya's finger froze above the controller. On the screen, something white and massive appeared between the red-brown rocks. "Something that absolutely shouldn't be there, what the hell?" she whispered, adjusting the camera angle. The object was partially hidden by an overhang, but what she could see made no sense at all. It looked like a ship, not a small boat, but something enormous. Maya guided the drone closer, heart pounding. The object gradually came into full view, and her mouth dropped open. There, wedged between two massive rock walls, sat what appeared to be a cruise ship, complete with multiple decks, railings, and even a faded logo on the side. She blinked hard, then looked again. The ship remained impossibly real in this bone-dry canyon hundreds of miles from any ocean. "Raj, are you seeing this?" she called into the radio, forgetting he couldn't see the drone's feed from the camp. "Seeing what? Did you find another interesting rock formation?" His voice dripped with sarcasm. "I need you to pack up the satellite phone and the high-res camera, right now." 20 minutes later, Raj stood beside Maya at the drone control station, his usual bored expression replaced by wide-eyed shock. That's a cruise ship," he stammered. "Thanks for that brilliant analysis," Maya replied, but there was no bite in her words. She was too stunned to be sarcastic. "The question is, how did a massive cruise ship end up in a canyon in the middle of Mexico?" Tom, their local guide, peered over their shoulders. His weathered face creased with concern. "We should leave this place," he said softly. "The old stories say this canyon sometimes holds things that don't belong." Maya ignored him, already calculating. "Based on these images, I'd say it's at least 70,000 tons, maybe 800 feet long. There's no way it floated here. We're 300 miles from the nearest coastline and 2,000 feet above sea level." She zoomed in on the ship's hull. Though covered in dust and showing signs of damage, the vessel was remarkably intact. Near what appeared to be the bow, she could make out faded lettering. "Meridian. Star?" Raj read, squinting at the screen. "Never heard of it." "Me neither." Maya was already typing rapidly on her laptop, connecting to the satellite internet they'd set up for emergencies. The search results loaded slowly, one bar at a time. Her eyes widened as she read. The Meridian star was reported missing in 1986. It was on its maiden voyage from San Diego to Acapulco when it disappeared. No distress calls, no debris found, just vanished with all 437 people on board. A chill ran down her spine despite the desert heat. She looked back at the drone footage, at the pristine white ship nestled between ancient rocks. "We need to call this in," she said, reaching for the satellite phone. "Wait." Tom placed a hand on her arm. "You don't understand what finding this might mean. This canyon, it has a history. The locals avoid it for a reason." Maya shook her head. "I appreciate your concern, Tom, but this is potentially the most significant maritime discovery of the decade. We can't just ignore it." 3 hours later, the small research camp had transformed into a hive of activity. Maya had called her department head, who had called the Mexican authorities, who had apparently called half the scientific community. The satellite phone hadn't stopped ringing. "The geology makes no sense," Maya explained to Dr. Patel, her mentor at the university. "There's no water source large enough to have carried something this size. And even if there was a flood big enough, the ship would be crushed, not sitting there like it's docked at a port. What about an airlift?" Dr. Patel suggested. "No helicopter could lift that weight, not even close." Maya rubbed her tired eyes. And why would anyone airlift a missing cruise ship to the middle of nowhere and just leave it? As night fell, more questions than answers swirled through Maya's mind. She sat outside her tent, staring at the stars while Raj cataloged the day's findings, and Tom kept nervously looking toward the canyon passage. Her phone pinged with a message from Dr. Patel. Team from Naval. Historical Center arriving tomorrow morning. National Geographic sending crew. Keep everything secure until then, Maya sighed. So much for her quiet research trip. She opened the drone footage again, zooming in on different sections of the ship. Most of the windows were intact, revealing darkened interiors. No signs of life, which made sense after almost 40 years. But then something caught her eye. On the upper deck, near what looked like a swimming pool area, one of the doors was open. Just slightly, but definitely open. She zoomed in further, enhancing the image as much as the software allowed. The door hadn't been broken or forced. It was just open, as if someone had recently walked through it. A sudden gust of wind blew through the camp, sending papers flying and extinguishing their campfire. In the distance, thunder rumbled. "Storm's coming faster than I thought," Tom said, helping gather the scattered documents. "We should secure everything." As Maya helped tie down their equipment, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She glanced toward the canyon where the impossible ship lay hidden in darkness. By morning, the camp had doubled in size. Government officials, maritime experts, and 2 very excited archaeologists had arrived before dawn. More were on the way, including a military team that just wanted to observe, according to their commander. Maya led the first expedition group to the ship's location, her original research completely forgotten. As they rounded the final bend in the canyon, gasps echoed off the rock walls. There it sat, even more impressive in person than on the drone footage. The Meridian Star, its once gleaming white hull now weathered and stained with desert dust, towered above them like a misplaced monument. The cruise ship rose nearly 10 decks high, its bulk impossibly wedged between the natural rock formations. "This defies all logical explanation," breathed Dr. Liu, the oceanographer who'd flown in from San Francisco. "There's no water source that could have brought it here." "And look at the positioning," added Professor Garcia, running his hand along the canyon wall. "It's not resting on the ground. It's suspended, caught between these 2 rock faces like it was placed here deliberately." Maya nodded, taking photos with her camera. "That's not all. Look at the hull." She pointed to areas where the metal should have been crushed against the rock. Instead, the ship seemed to meld with the stone in places, as if the rock had formed around it rather than the ship crashing into existing formations. As the team circled the vessel, setting up equipment and documenting every detail, Maya found herself drawn to a narrow gap between the ship's hull and the canyon wall, just wide enough for a person to squeeze through. Without fully understanding why, she felt certain this was important. While the others debated theories and prepared climbing equipment to reach the main deck, Maya slipped away toward the gap. The space was tight, forcing her to turn sideways as she edged deeper into the shadow. Her flashlight beam reflected off the ship's metal surface, now inches from her face. The air felt different here, cooler but also charged somehow, like the atmosphere before a lightning strike. Maya's light caught something unexpected. A small, perfectly round hole in the hull about the size of a quarter. Not a rupture or damage, but what appeared to be a viewing port of some kind. She leaned closer, shining her light through the opening. Inside, something moved. Maya jerked back, heart hammering against her ribs. She waited, counting seconds, then slowly leaned forward again. This time she put her eye directly to the opening. A vast corridor stretched before her, running the length of the ship. Unlike the abandoned vessel she'd expected, the interior looked pristine, almost preserved in time. And at the far end of the corridor, a door was closing. Someone or something was inside the Meridian Star, and they knew they'd been found. Maya backed away from the viewing port, her mind racing. Someone was inside the ship, a ship that had been missing for nearly 40 years. She needed to tell the others, but something made her hesitate. What if they thought she was seeing things? What if whatever was inside disappeared before they could document it? She fumbled for her phone, clicking it to video mode and carefully positioning it against the small opening. 10 seconds of footage. That would be enough. "Dr. Chen, where did you go?" Professor Garcia's voice echoed between the canyon walls. Maya quickly pocketed her phone and squeezed back through the narrow gap. Her heart was still pounding as she rejoined the group. "Just checking something," she said, trying to sound casual. "The hull integrity is surprisingly good for a vessel that's been missing since the 80s. By midday, the canyon buzzed with activity. 3 government helicopters had arrived, bringing more experts and equipment. A makeshift command center sprung up near the ship, complete with satellite communications, computer stations, and a medical tent. Maya watched as Dr. Leanne Walsh, a renowned maritime historian, examined her footage with narrowed eyes. "And you're certain you saw movement?" Dr. Walsh asked, replaying the video for the 3rd time. The dark corridor was visible, but any movement at the end was hard to distinguish from shadows. "I know what I saw," Maya insisted. "Someone or something closed that door." Dr. Walsh nodded slowly. "I believe you, and it adds another layer to an already impossible situation." She turned to address the assembled team. "For those just arriving, we're dealing with a vessel that disappeared in 1986 without a trace. The Meridian Star was a luxury liner on its maiden voyage with 437 people on board, 289 passengers and 148 crew members." She pulled up an old newspaper on her tablet. The disappearance was major news. Search operations continued for months. Theories ranged from a sudden catastrophic sinking to alien abduction. She smiled slightly at the last part. But never in anyone's wildest theories did anyone suggest the ship somehow ended up in a canyon in Mexico. Colonel Rivera, who headed the military contingent, stepped forward. "Our priority is securing the vessel. If there's someone inside, we need to know who and how they survived. Dr. Chen's observation suggests we treat this as a potential rescue operation." Maya frowned. "Rescue after 40 years? Protocol," the colonel replied curtly. "Until proven otherwise, we proceed as if survivors might be present." By late afternoon, engineers had constructed a series of platforms and bridges to allow safe access to the ship's main deck. The military team went first, equipped with body cameras and communications gear. Maya found herself in the second group alongside Dr. Walsh and a naval architect named Huang. As they climbed toward the ship, Maya studied the strange way the vessel sat in the canyon. It wasn't resting on the ground, but suspended between the rock walls as if the canyon had formed around it. "Look at these marks," Huang said, pointing to long, smooth grooves in the rock face. "It's as if the ship was forced through here while the rock was still malleable somehow." "That's impossible," Maya replied, though the word impossible seemed to have lost meaning since yesterday. "Less impossible than a cruise ship teleporting into a canyon," Huang said with a shrug. When they reached the main deck, Maya was struck by how ordinary everything looked. Deck chairs were still arranged neatly around an empty swimming pool. A bar area stood ready to serve drinks that would never be poured. A volleyball net swayed slightly in the breeze. "It's like everyone just vanished," Dr. Walsh whispered. No signs of panic or evacuation. Colonel Rivera's team had already secured the immediate area and were preparing to enter the main structure. "We found all exterior doors locked except one," he reported. "The bridge entrance. That's our way in." As they approached the bridge entrance, Maya felt a strange sensation, like walking through a curtain of static electricity. Several others seemed to feel it too, pausing and looking around in confusion. "Some kind of electromagnetic field," suggested Huang, checking his equipment. "My compass is going crazy." Inside, the bridge was immaculate. Navigation charts still lay open, coffee cups sat half empty, and the ship's log was open to the final entry, April 17th, 1986. Dr. Walsh carefully photographed each page of the log while Maya examined the navigation equipment. Everything was analog, no modern GPS or computer systems that might explain the mystery. "Listen to this," Dr. Walsh said suddenly. 200 hours, unusual weather patterns continuing, electrical systems experiencing intermittent failures. First Officer Jenkins reports seeing lights beneath the water. She turned the page. FO3 15 hours, lost all contact with outside world. Radar showing impossible readings. Captain ordered all passengers to remain in cabins. The final entry sent chills down Maya's spine as Dr. Walsh read it aloud. 0347 hours, they found us. "God help us all." "Who's they?" Maya asked, but no one had an answer. Colonel Rivera organized search teams to begin exploring the massive vessel systematically. Maya found herself paired with Huang and a marine biologist named Dr. Patel as they were assigned to investigate the passenger cabins on Deck 7. The hallways were eerily silent as they moved through the ship. Every few steps, Maya felt that same electric sensation washing over her skin. The lights in the corridor flickered occasionally, which should have been impossible for a ship that had been abandoned for decades. "There's still power," Huang muttered, checking a light switch. "How is that possible?" "Maybe solar?" suggested Dr. Patel, though he sounded doubtful. They began checking cabins one by one. Each told the same story. Personal belongings laid out as if the occupants had just stepped away momentarily. Suitcases open on beds, books marked with dog-eared pages, even bathrooms with toothbrushes still standing in cups. In one suite, they found a child's stuffed bear sitting on a pillow, a coloring book open beside it with a crayon still pressing into the paper, the stroke unfinished. "It's like time just stopped," Maya said, gently picking up a photograph from a nightstand. It showed a family of 4 smiling on the deck of the ship, the parents with their arms around 2 young boys. They looked so happy, so unaware of what was coming. As she set the photo down, the ship groaned around them, a deep, metallic sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "What was that?" Dr. Patel whispered. Before anyone could answer, their radios crackled to life with Colonel Rivera's voice. "All teams report back to the bridge immediately. We've found something." When they arrived at the bridge, Rivera's face was grim. "One of my men discovered this," he said, holding up what looked like a plastic badge. "It was in the captain's quarters. Maya took it from him. It was an ID card of some kind, but not from 1986. The design was modern with a holographic security strip, and the date on the bottom read, 'Clearance valid 2020-2022. That's 5 years ago," she said, looking around at the others. "Exactly," Rivera nodded. "Someone has been on this ship long after it disappeared." Dr. Walsh examined the ID carefully. "There's a logo here I don't recognize. And the name—" She looked up, her expression troubled. "The name has been deliberately scratched out." As the implications sank in, Huang called them over to one of the bridge windows. "You all need to see this." The view through the window wasn't of the canyon walls as expected. Instead, they saw what appeared to be the ocean. Endless blue water stretching to the horizon under a starry night sky. "That's not possible," Maya whispered. "We're in a canyon hundreds of miles from any ocean." As they watched in stunned silence, something massive moved beneath the surface of the water, a dark shadow bigger than the ship itself, circling slowly. Dr. Patel was the first to find his voice. "I think we now know what the captain meant by 'they've found us.'" A loud bang echoed through the ship, making everyone jump. It came again, a rhythmic pounding from somewhere deep within the vessel. "It sounds like—" Maya began. "Like something wants out," Colonel Rivera finished, drawing his sidearm. "Or wants us to come deeper." The pounding continued, growing louder and more insistent. And as Maya looked back at the impossible ocean view, she saw the massive shadow rising toward the surface, its true shape beginning to take form. She had come looking for geological answers and instead found something that defied all natural explanation. Whatever the Meridian star had encountered in 1986 hadn't just taken the ship, it had taken it somewhere else entirely. And now it seemed they were all along for the ride. The rhythmic pounding grew louder, vibrating through the metal floor beneath their feet. Maya exchanged worried glances with Dr. Patel as Colonel Rivera organized his team. "We need to investigate that sound," Rivera said, checking his radio. "But first I want everyone to see this." He led them to another bridge window, this one facing the opposite direction. Unlike the window showing an impossible ocean, this view revealed exactly what they expected: the dusty canyon walls, the makeshift camp below, and the clear blue Mexican sky. Scientists and military personnel moved about like ants from this height, completely unaware of what the team inside had discovered. "Two different realities," Dr. Walsh whispered. "How is that possible?" "It's like the ship exists in 2 places at once," Huang suggested, his voice filled with awe and fear in equal measure. The pounding stopped suddenly, leaving an eerie silence. Then came a new sound, a faint metallic groaning followed by what sounded like water rushing through pipes. "The ship's systems are active," Rivera said, motioning to 2 of his men. "Johnson, Alvarez, go check the engine room. Stay in radio contact at all times." Maya studied the ocean view window again. The massive shadow beneath the water had disappeared, but something about the stars looked wrong. Those aren't our constellations, she realized aloud. That's not Earth's night sky. Dr. Walsh joined her, squinting at the unfamiliar patterns of stars. You're right. Whatever that is out there, it's not any ocean on Earth. The ship lurched suddenly, throwing several people off balance. The movement was subtle but definite, like a boat rocking in water. We need to get out of here, Dr. Patel said, backing toward the exit. This whole situation is wrong. No, Maya countered, steadying herself against a control panel. This is the scientific discovery of a lifetime. We can't just leave. Rivera's radio crackled with static, then Johnson's voice came through, broken and distorted. Sir, engine room. You won't believe. Still running somehow. And there's... Down here, Johnson. Come in, Johnson. Rivera barked into the radio, but only static answered him. I'm going down there, Rivera decided, gesturing to half his team. Dr. Chen, you and the scientists stay here. Dr. Walsh, maintain contact with the base camp. The rest of you with me. As Rivera's group left, Maya turned to Huang. Let's check the captain's quarters again. That ID badge means someone was here recently. There might be more clues. The captain's quarters were larger than the other cabins, with a private bathroom and a small office area. Everything was neat and organized, unlike what you'd expect in an emergency abandonment. Look at this, Huang said, pointing to the captain's desk. A laptop sat there. A modern device, definitely not from 1986. Someone has been living here, Maya said, running her finger over the desk. There's barely any dust. The laptop was password protected, but a notebook beside it was filled with handwritten notes. Maya flipped through the pages, her eyes widening. These are observation logs, she said, dated from 2020 to 2022. Listen to this entry. Day 457 of monitoring. The ship continues to phase between locations at irregular intervals. The entity beneath shows increased activity during transition periods. She turned the page. Day 482, lost contact with base again. Suspect the canyon location is becoming more dominant as the entity weakens. Breakthrough in understanding the dimensional anchor points. With proper equipment, control might be possible. Huang had been examining the room's closet and called Maya over. Look at this. The closet contained modern clothes, scientific equipment, and a large case labeled Property of Threshold Research Division. I've never heard of them, Maya said, trying to open the case. It was locked with a digital keypad. Try the dates from the ID badge, Huang suggested. Maya input 2020, then 2022. Both failed. On a hunch, she tried 457, the day number from the first log entry. The case clicked open. Inside was a strange device, a metallic sphere about the size of a basketball, with intricate circuitry covering its surface. In the center was what looked like a small viewing screen, currently dark. What do you think this is? She asked Huang. Before he could answer, the ship lurched again, more violently this time. The sphere rolled out of its case, hitting the floor with a heavy thud. The screen lit up with pulsing blue light. Maya's radio crackled to life with Dr. Walsh's panicked voice. Maya! The canyon walls are... They're changing! The camp reports the rocks are becoming transparent. They can see... Oh my God. They can see the ocean through the rocks. The sphere began to hum, its blue light growing brighter. Don't touch it, Huang warned, but Maya was already reaching for it, drawn by an impulse she couldn't explain. As her fingers brushed the metal surface, images flooded her mind. The ship sailing on a calm ocean, a sudden storm appearing from nowhere, swirling lights beneath the water, passengers screaming as reality itself seemed to tear open around them. She jerked her hand away, gasping. It showed me what happened. This device, it's some kind of recorder or maybe a dimensional anchor like in the notes. The ship shuddered again and the room's lights flickered. Through the porthole window, Maya saw the canyon walls rippling like water, becoming transparent in patches to reveal glimpses of that alien ocean beyond. The ship is phasing between dimensions, she realized, and I think it's about to make another jump. They rushed back to the bridge to find Dr. Walsh and Dr. Patel staring out the windows in horror. The canyon was now half-transparent, with sections of alien seascape visible through solid rock. The makeshift camp was in chaos as people ran for the helicopters. Where's Rivera and his team? Maya asked. Still below, Dr. Walsh replied. They found something in the cargo hold. They said we need to see it right away. The decision hung in the air. Flee or go deeper. Maya looked at the device still clutched in her hands, the blue light pulsing in sync with the ship's strange movements. This might be our only chance to understand what happened to all those people, she said finally. I'm going down. Dr. Patel shook his head. This is madness. We need to get off this ship now. You go, Maya told him. Take Dr. Walsh and Huang, I'm staying. To her surprise, Huang stepped forward. I'm with you, Dr. Chen. Whatever this is, it's beyond anything science has encountered before. Dr. Walsh hesitated, then nodded. I'll stay too, Dr. Patel, go back to camp. Tell them we're still investigating. After Dr. Patel left, Maya led the way down to the cargo hold, following Rivera's last reported location. The deeper they went into the ship, the more the normal physical laws seemed to warp. Some corridors stretched impossibly long, while others seemed compressed. Gravity felt stronger in some areas, lighter in others. The device in Maya's hands grew warmer, its blue light steadily brightening. Somehow she felt it was guiding her. They found Rivera and his men standing in a circle in the massive cargo hold. Flashlights pointed at something on the floor. As Maya approached, she saw it was a perfect circle of what looked like liquid metal, about 15 feet across. It's a pool, Rivera said without turning, but not of water. The liquid rippled without any breeze, forming patterns that seemed almost deliberate, like symbols or letters in a language no human had ever spoken. One of my men touched it, Rivera continued, his voice strangely flat. He disappeared. Then that started. He pointed to the wall behind the pool, on the metal bulkhead. Words were appearing as if being written by an invisible hand. The breach widens, the vessel returns, the cycle continues. What cycle? Maya wondered aloud. As if in response, the liquid pool began to churn and rise, forming a column that reached toward the ceiling. The sphere in Maya's hands suddenly grew hot, the blue light now blindingly bright. Rivera and his men backed away, drawing their weapons, but Maya stepped forward, holding the sphere out toward the liquid column. I think I understand now, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. This ship didn't just disappear. It was taken, studied by something not from our world. And now it's coming back. The liquid column pulsed, and more words appeared on the wall. The observers return, the study continues. We're not your test subjects, Maya called out. Not sure if the entity could understand her. The sphere in her hands suddenly projected images all around them. The passengers and crew of the Meridian Star, not dead or vanished, but suspended in some kind of stasis, their faces peaceful as if sleeping. They're alive, Dr. Walsh gasped. More words appeared. All preserved. All studied. Your arrival was predicted. Your choice approaches. The ship lurched again, more violently than before. Through the cargo hold's small porthole windows, Maya could see the canyon had almost completely vanished, replaced by that alien ocean stretching to the horizon. The massive shadow had returned, circling the ship. What choice? Maya asked, her voice barely a whisper. The liquid column shaped itself into a rough humanoid form. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Stay and learn the truths of existence or return with nothing. You have 1 hour to decide. The cargo hold fell silent after the entity's ultimatum. 1 hour to decide whether to stay in this impossible place or return empty-handed. Maya stared at the liquid figure, trying to process what was happening. Colonel Rivera was the first to break the silence. This is clearly a hostile entity. We need to evacuate immediately and report this to our superiors. Hostile? Maya questioned. It said the passengers are alive. They've been preserved somehow. For study, Dr. Walsh added, her voice hollow, like specimens in a lab. The liquid figure had remained motionless, waiting. The sphere in Maya's hands continued to pulse with blue light, somehow connecting her to both the entity and the ship itself. Can we communicate with it further? Huang asked. Ask it questions. Maya stepped forward, holding the sphere out. Who are you? Why did you take this ship? The liquid rippled, reforming its vaguely human shape. We are observers. Your vessel crossed a threshold. Opportunity for mutual understanding. Understanding? Rivera scoffed. You kidnapped hundreds of innocent people. Time flows differently here. For them, only moments have passed. No harm intended. Maya's scientific curiosity fought with her fear. You're saying they don't know they've been gone for decades? Correct. Time is fluid between realms. Dr. Walsh stepped forward. Can we see them? Speak to them? Instead of answering, the entity's liquid form collapsed back into the pool. The surface rippled, then displayed an image like a mirror reflecting another place. A grand ballroom filled with people in 1980s formal wear, dancing and laughing as if at a party. A banner hung across the room reading Maiden Voyage Celebration. They're in some kind of suspended animation, Maya whispered. Living the same moments over and over. Is this happening now? Huang asked the entity. The liquid rose partially again. Yes and no. They exist in a preserved moment, a bubble of time within our realm. Rivera's radio crackled suddenly with the voice of someone from the base camp. Colonel, the canyon is changing. The ship appears to be half visible, half transparent. What are your orders? Stand by, Rivera replied, his expression grim. We may need emergency extraction. Maya studied the sphere in her hands. The notes in the captain's quarters had mentioned dimensional anchor points and control. Perhaps this device was meant to stabilize the ship between worlds. I think I understand part of this, she said. The ship exists in both places at once, our world and theirs. It phases between them, becoming more solid in one reality while fading in the other. And someone from Threshold Research was monitoring this, Huang added. They knew about the entity and the passengers. Why didn't they rescue them? Dr. Walsh wondered. The entity rippled again. Your kind has visited before. They observed, studied, left. This revelation sent a chill through the group. The government knew about this? Rivera asked, his voice tight with anger. Or some secret research group did, Maya said. And they just left these people here. Rivera shook his head. We can't trust anything this thing is telling us. The ship shuddered again, more violently than before. Through the portholes, the alien ocean was now fully visible. With no trace of the canyon, the massive shadow circling beneath the surface came closer to the ship, revealing itself as an enormous creature unlike anything on Earth, part whale, part squid with luminescent patches that pulsed in sequence. Is that you? Maya asked the entity. One form of many. A physical anchor in physical realm. The sphere in Maya's hand suddenly projected a three-dimensional map showing two overlapping spheres. One representing Earth, one representing the alien world. The ship was positioned at the intersection point. I think I understand, she said. The ship accidentally sailed into some kind of dimensional intersection point. A place where our world and theirs overlap. Like a Bermuda Triangle situation? Huang suggested. Maybe, Maya nodded. But I think it's more than that. I think these intersections might happen all over both our worlds, but they're usually temporary. This one has been stable for decades. Because of the entity, Dr. Walsh realized. It's somehow maintaining the connection. The liquid figure rose higher. Correct. We preserve the threshold, study the visitors, learn. But why give us a choice now? Maya asked. Why tell us about this at all? Cycle ending. New observers needed. Old observers failed. The implications of that statement hung heavy in the air. The previous researchers from Threshold had failed somehow. Now the entity wanted one or all of them to take their place. It wants us to stay and continue the research, Huang said, while it continues to hold these passengers hostage. What happens if we all refuse? Rivera demanded. The liquid formed words rather than speaking. Threshold collapses. Ship returns to your world, but empty. Empty? Maya's blood ran cold. You mean the passengers would stay here? They belong to this realm now. Adaptation complete. That's not going to happen, Rivera said firmly, raising his weapon. We're leaving and you're releasing those people. The entity showed no reaction to the threat. Weapons have no effect here. Time grows short, decision approaches. Maya studied the sphere in her hands, an idea forming. The previous researcher had mentioned controlling the dimensional anchor points. What if this device was the key to stabilizing or collapsing the threshold? I need to see the captain's quarters again, she said suddenly. There might be more information there about how this device works. Rivera looked skeptical but nodded. 20 minutes. Then we're getting out of here with or without answers. As they left the cargo hold, Maya noticed the corridors shifting around them, doorways appearing and disappearing, distances stretching and compressing. The ship was becoming increasingly unstable between dimensions. Back in the captain's quarters, Maya frantically searched through the researcher's notes while Huang examined the laptop again. "Look at this," she said, finding a diagram that matched the sphere. "It says here the device was engineered to manipulate dimensional frequency resonance. They were trying to control when and how the ship phased between worlds. Does it say how to use it to bring the ship back completely?" Rivera asked. Maya flipped through more pages. "Yes and no. It says full dimensional reintegration is possible, but..." She paused, her expression darkening. "But there's a cost. The energy required would what?" Dr. Walsh prompted. "Would destabilize the threshold permanently. This intersection point between worlds would collapse." "Good," Rivera said. "We get the ship back, end of story." "You don't understand," Maya continued reading. "If we do this while the passengers are still in that time bubble, they'll be trapped forever, neither in our world nor this one, just nowhere." The implications sank in. They had less than 30 minutes now to make an impossible choice. Leave the passengers in the entity's realm, attempt a rescue that might trap them in limbo forever, or have someone stay behind as the new observer. Huang had been quiet, studying the laptop screen. "I think I found something," he said finally. The previous researcher left a video log. They gathered around as he played the file. A tired-looking woman with gray-streaked hair appeared on screen. "This is Dr. Lynn Harker, Threshold Research, Day 729. If you're watching this, you found the ship and you're facing the same choice I did. The entity isn't malevolent, but it isn't benevolent either. It's a researcher like us trying to understand other forms of life." She looked exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes. "I've been here over 2 years, studying the intersection, trying to find a way to bring the passengers home. I finally discovered how, but the cost is high. The synchronization device can be recalibrated to merge the time bubble with our reality, but it requires someone to remain here as an anchor point, a human consciousness to maintain the bridge during transition." She smiled sadly. "I've made my choice. I'm staying. But I've programmed the device to activate one more time, if someone from our world ever finds the ship again. One more chance to bring those people home." The video ended, leaving them in stunned silence. "She sacrificed herself," Dr. Walsh whispered. Maya looked down at the sphere, seeing it with new understanding. "That's why the entity is giving us a choice. It needs a new observer because Dr. Harker is gone." "We are not leaving anyone behind," Rivera said firmly. "But if we don't," Maya replied, "we might lose everyone." The ship lurched violently, throwing them against the walls. Through the porthole, the massive creature circled closer, its luminescent patches glowing brighter. "Time's running out," Huang said. "The threshold is becoming unstable." Maya stared at the sphere, Dr. Harker's words echoing in her mind. "A human consciousness to maintain the bridge. A sacrifice to save hundreds. I think I know what to do," she said quietly. "But you're not going to like it."